Hi, everyone. You're here, and it's Wondering Wednesdays with Marna, and I'm so glad you're here. I'm really glad you're here. It's Advent 4. I have 4 candles lit on my Advent wreath, and we've walked through 4 weeks of Advent. And we're here. It's Christmas Eve. It's the eve of Christmas Eve, I was told today, and by numerous people. Not only my children, but Lydia's children told me it was the eve of Christmas Eve today. So we're really, really close, and I hope everybody's well. I know it is a strange holiday, and lots of folks are having a hard time because they're not being with their families, can't get out and do things and like we used to. So it can be a little bit of a difficult time. So I'm glad that we're together wondering. You're here, and if you'd like to say hello in the chat, on the comments, please feel free to say hello so that we all know that you're here. And if you're on Facebook, say hi in the comments, and we'll just share a little bit of time together. I have had a very busy day today, so I'm going to tell you some stories to show you what I've been doing during my Advent time. I want to tell you that a gift was given to our family of a tree, a live Christmas tree. Gwen from Little Lake invited my family to come and cut down their own Christmas tree, and my boys cut down a 40-foot tree and then took off the first top of it. And the best part about it, besides watching them get it in the stand and then bringing in the house, was I sent pictures of it to my mom and dad who are in Connecticut. And my mom and dad, my mom especially, just thinks it's amazing that her grandchildren were able to go and cut down that tree. So it was really lovely. It's really lovely. And it's so tall, and we have so many strings of lights on it. We're really enjoying it. It is like having a forest in my living room. So we've spent a lot of time on the Christmas tree this year. We have Christmas ornaments that we made when the kids were little that are basically felt rings with little yarn loops, and we painted them with fabric paint. And the kids must have been 6 or 8 or so. You can imagine how beautiful they are, and we put them on the tree every year. So let me see who's here. Suzanne is here, and Kathy and Lynn. I'm so glad you all are here. I want to show you my Christmas coloring, my Advent wreath, my Advent coloring. You know, we sent this home in the packet this year, and I have to tell you that when I started it, I was very disappointed by my coloring. I started with these like weird things down the bottom, and I decided that I wasn't going to let myself be overly critical. I was just going to go and see what it turned out to be. And what was interesting, yes, you can see that I've already colored in Christmas Day. I've already colored in Christmas Eve. I've cheated a little bit. But this thing around the Christmas dove, High Rayford, was so fun. And this reminds me of the Star of Bethlehem over and over and over again. So I hope that if you have some time and you're akin to coloring, that you would join me in the coloring project. I also have decided what I'm going to do for the 12 Days of Christmas, because I had so much fun coloring those. I haven't gotten to my nativity set yet. So I think if I color one of these a day and then leave myself a couple of days for days off, I'll have a wonderful 12 Days of Christmas. This morning, I had a wonderful treat. I had 2 wonderful children and their mama in my house today making Christmas cookies. And I'm going to show you some of the lovely creations. Look at those. Doesn't that look like you want to just come and eat it right now? I made the dough, and then Corson and Isla came, and Lydia, and they decorated, and we got gymnastics in the living room and some singing and dancing. And then another wonderful thing happened, that I every year make gingerbread houses with my kids. Since the time they were little, we would make gingerbread houses. And this year with the move, I didn't really get to it. And so about a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, Charlie and Margie West emailed me or texted me and said, "We have something to bring to you." And I said, I love presents because I love presents. And lo and behold, they came over with a gingerbread house. And I thought, well, that's it. I don't have to make gingerbread this year. And today, while the kids were here, I realized this is the perfect opportunity to decorate gingerbread houses. So I sent Sam out to the store for candy, and I watched Corson with lots of candy and lots of frosting put together this very beautiful architectural wonder. So I've been in the middle of like Christmas elves today, and it completely shifted what I was going to wonder about. I was going to wonder about all this stuff that was heavy, deep, and real. And instead, I want to wonder together about Christmas traditions and loving one another, and how that really is incarnational. I've been thinking about Christmas as opposed to Easter. Christmas, Easter, Christmas, Easter. And I realized that there are so many more cozy, wonderful things that are created around Christmas. There's Christmas cookies. Who doesn't want some good carbs? And there's Christmas trees and Christmas wreaths and Christmas caroling. And then there's all the foods for Christmas. It seems to be a time of year that beckons for us to create a lot of warmth and coziness. I know that for some families that's hard because the families themselves are not warm and cozy. And if one is in that situation, Christmas can feel so scary and so frightening. In fact, I was talking with a friend of mine today who's a therapist, and she said that this is a very hard time for some people when their families are not really intact, which made me thankful for what I call given families and chosen families, that we're all given a family, but we also don't have to feel guilty about choosing family. I've lived away from my family of origin for a long time because of my jobs, and I have had to choose family. And as I got brought cookies and the neighborhood or the neighbor, the Judd and Pat brought me cookies this afternoon, and the gingerbread house and a wreath somebody gave me, and the kid, my family, I can see that God is providing for me a chosen family, a family to choose. And so there's a way to begin to create memories. So what is it about Christmas? What is it that about this particular celebration that necessitates all this stuff? Is it just commercialism? I got thinking, is it just commercialism? And I don't think it is. I really think that we need the family stories. We need the family memories. We need the traditions, the smells, the tastes, the touch, the sights of the lights. More maybe here than we do at Easter, where we can be outside and it's all about birth and rebirth, whereas Christmas is still tied in with the darkness, Advent waiting, the darkness and the birth of the light, that we need more coziness around us. That's kind of a harder thing to deal with, maybe. Maybe it's a little bit harder to understand that light comes after dark when it is so dark around us. Longest night of the year, all of that. I want to tell you a story in my family about Christmas, and that is funny. But first, I want to say this. My son, who is 19, has been pretty much raised in the church. I've been working in the church for that long. And so we're talking about the meaning of Christmas. And I said, well, if you don't know the meaning of Christmas, nobody knows. He goes, no, not that meaning. I can talk to you about that meaning. No. He said, for me, for us, for our family, it's about cooking that delicious food that we cook and hanging around and eat it, watching Christmas movies. And I thought, well, he gets the Christian story, but his lived experience is that of being together in a womb-like situation where we put aside the cares of the world. We don't work. We don't do other things. We just hang out together and make something special. So 2 years ago, I was very busy doing work at the church all the time. And the way we do our Christmas nativity set is we have the stable with the shepherds and the animals. And then the wise guys are over in the east hanging out. And Mary and Joseph are in another place. And baby Jesus is in a drawer somewhere waiting to be born. And Mary and Jesus make their way to the stable through Advent, and getting closer and closer every day, meeting obstacles on the road. And I came home from, I think it was the December vestry meeting, I don't know, it was some meeting at church, and I look in the stable and there's Yoda, this little plastic Yoda. Well, the Yoda had come from a present that we had given my older son the year before. We kind of decided that Charlie is kind of like a Yoda guy. So one year we gave him a Yoda hat so that, he has little Yoda ears. He doesn't like Yoda very much. We love Yoda for him. So it's kind of that kind of a joke. So we bought Charlie a Yoda, and it was this little plastic Yoda, and it had these little bubbles, like, conversational bubbles that would say all the Yoda sayings. And we thought it was lovely. Well, Charlie turned the tables on us. And one day, he was at college, but he came home one day and he put the stickers all over the house. So like you'd go to get milk in the refrigerator and there would be a Yoda sticker, or you'd go to brush your teeth and you went to get toothbrush and there would be a Yoda sticker. Well, Yoda was in the stable. And I thought, what is Yoda doing in the stable? And there's Sam with his big grin. He goes, yeah, I just figured if anybody was waiting for Jesus, it probably would be Yoda. And it struck me. That made sense to me. Not in a goofy sort of way, although he meant it goofy. If anybody would be waiting for Jesus in the stable, it would be Yoda. And at that moment, Christmas arrived for me. The quietness of the season came upon me. I think I made a cup of tea, and I thought about and felt in my whole being the rightness of that if anybody would be waiting for Jesus, it would be Yoda. It's like all the wisdom of the universe, of course, would be waiting with bated breath for this amazing happening, which is the incarnation of the divine. What is that? So, of course, it would take something like Yoda to wait for baby Jesus. So that was my Christmas that year. Every year it seems as though, as I go through Advent and the 12 days of Christmas, there's a moment where Christmas arrives for me, where Christmas arrives in God speaking personally, intimately, gently, profoundly through the cacophony of all the preparations and all the expectations and all the theology and all the work. Something happens to bring to me Christmas. And so my question to you today is, have you had those kinds of experiences where Christmas comes to you, where it breaks through and God says, this is what Christmas is. This is your Christmas this year. This is Christmas for you. It's a way of listening and waiting to ask God, perhaps in prayer, could you show me what Christmas is? Could you show me what it might be this year for me? What would you have me hear at Christmas this year, God? What would you have me be a part of? Learning to listen not only with our minds, but with our hearts is part of this wondering process. I see that Arlene is here. I see that Ginny's here. I see that Rayford's here also. I'm just saying hi to people. So I wonder how Christmas might come to you were you to ask God how to do that, how to receive Christmas. Christmas came to me this year in a beautiful email from a friend of mine. We had had a pretty deep conversation about, uh, Sue, you'll love this, about the feminine face of God, about the feminine of God. And it was really wonderful. And so she wrote me an email that talked about that even though we're thousands of miles apart, that it's wonderful to be in the same moment in wondering about God. And at that moment, that was when that was when Christmas came for me this year. So when might Christmas come for you this year? Um, I have been thinking about this week why the incarnation? Mary and Joseph, the baby, the story, but why the incarnation? What's the point of the incarnation? And I started getting into my head and ticking through all the theologies and all of that. But then I was reminded and distracted by the pain of the pandemic and the isolation of the pandemic. And as I was thinking about why Christmas, I got distracted by the pain of being alone. That it's very hard this year for so many people because because we all can't do the holidays like we want. And we've been isolated for a long time. There are people that are caregiving in their homes that haven't gotten out of their homes or gotten relief from caregiving for months and months and months. There are people that usually go travel and see their families, and this is one of the only times of the year that they get the time off to do so, and they can't do it. It's just and I got distracted by the missing. And also, I love Zoom and I love Facebook Live, and I'm glad that we can do this visual, but it's not like being in the flesh, is it? It's not like holding on to somebody and grabbing on to somebody. And then I got to thinking about how we often think that Christmas is about us, that the incarnation is about us, that something needed to be tweaked in us. So God came, kind of like, the rescue hero had to come and, okay, I better be in the flesh because it's not working otherwise. And I thought that doesn't feel as joyful to me as maybe another thing. And so as I sat with it and I sat with it, I thought, what about if God missed us? What would it be like to begin to think about God missing us? It's so hard to hold in my brain and my heart the reality that God is so unknowable, so grand, so magnificent, so beyond comprehension and grasping. Like we can't grasp God. Yet from the beginning of time, all of us have yearned for God. There has been a yearning for God in the human spirit, yearning. All the religions of the world have sprung up because of this yearning to bond with the divine. And our stories over and over again, our holy stories, our sacred stories, are stories about bonding with the divine. But what if the incarnation is about God missing us and wanting to be in the flesh, to be so close to us in a way that God has not been close to us? What if God was missing us? Sometimes when I go outside, especially when it's beautiful weather or I'm in my garden or I'm at the beach, especially when I have my hands in the dirt, though, I feel like I can't get close enough to the earth. I can't, sometimes I just want to rub roll around in the dirt because there's so much of the sacred in the actual earth. And that yearning to be that close is what I was imagining this week in the mind and heart of God. What if God was yearning and waiting and wondering how to be that close to us? And so the incarnation was the answer to that, even though it was time limited. I also realized that Jesus incarnated divine because it was God, couldn't really mess up this humanity thing. Like, of course, Jesus was going to act like Jesus acted because that's the way love acts. And so not only Jesus coming, but actually showing us that with God within, we can actually, our act changes. When we're motivated by love, which is what happens when we recognize the God within, then the whole way that we approach life just changes. That is such a mystery. That is such an incarnational mystery. So I'm wondering, with you all, what is it about the incarnation for you? Where is it that you see God showing up incarnate divine within you? And what would happen to your thoughts about God and your relationship with God were you to think about God missing you rather than God coming to tweak us and make us better and changing us? What if we were to think about the incarnation just in that sense, that God missed us? It's really a lovely thought, I think, in my mind anyway. So I'm going to not go on and on tonight. I am going to piggyback on the "You Are Loved" thing that's going across your screen, and I'm gonna read to you what I wrote when I had the thought that God came because He missed us, and then that's going to be my Merry Christmas and meditation and wish and wondering with you all tonight. So here it is. God missed us. God missed us. All the usual channels of communication were in place: prayer, signs, miracles, nature, imagination, play, sacred words. But it didn't satisfy God. It didn't satisfy the need to touch, to watch across the room, to see the three-dimensionality, to experience the dancing, to wipe away the tears, to hold a hand crossing the street. In the flesh is so much fuller, so much richer, so much more comforting. God missed us. So the unknowable one made the leap into conception and gestation, risked all the possibilities inherent in humanity, and came down to play in the dirt and walk with his mother and fight with his brothers and make friends and sit around the table. To love one another is to want to hold them or feel their breath on our cheek and to watch their smile grow on their faces. God missed us, so God came. Merry Christmas, everybody.